everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Today's the Day Changemakers Podcast. I am Jody Grunwald. This week, my guest is Irakli Kakauridze, Tobacco Program Supervisor for Tobacco Free for a Healthy New Jersey. We talk about Irakli's family coming from Georgia, the country, not the state, why he chose the career he did, and the incredible work that Tobacco Free for a Healthy New Jersey is doing. Irakli leads a network of coordinated activities to decrease youth access to and overall use of tobacco products, reduce exposure to secondhand smoke, and to help those who do smoke or vape to stop. He also focuses on tobacco policy advocacy. Tobacco Free for a Healthy New Jersey has so many resources available, such as quit centers and a smoking cessation hotline, 866-NJ-STOPS. There is also a resource to help those who are vaping have the support they need to quit. Text vapefreenj to 88709. This is a free, easy-to-use anonymous support system at your fingertips. To learn more about the many youth and adult programs and resources that Tobacco Free for a Healthy New Jersey provides, go to tobaccofreenj.com. Please subscribe to the Today's the Day Changemakers YouTube channel. Download the podcast from most streaming sites. Don't forget to like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Today is the Day Live It. Also, to learn more about Today is the Day's overall programming, International Annual Forum, the upcoming Changemakers Connective, business coaching and consulting, go to todayisthedayliveit.com. The views expressed by all Today's the Day Changemakers podcast guests are their own. Their appearance on the Today's the Day Changemakers podcast does not imply any endorsement of them or any entity that they represent. Thank you and have a fabulous week, everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Today's the Day Changemakers Podcast. I am Jody Grunwald, and I get to interview the most incredible humans who are doing just great work in their community and beyond. And today, I'm very excited to have Irakli with me today. How are you?
Doing well. How are you, Jody?
I am good. We talked about this before the interview that I did not want to, and people will know with my Brooklyn accent, sometimes things do not come out the way I want them to. So please tell everybody your last name.
Hi, everyone. So my last name is Kakauridze. My full name is Irakli Kakauridze, but everyone's more than welcome to call me Eric.
Awesome. Yes. And thank you so much for being on. And the topic that we're going to talk about today is so important. So thank you for being here. I'm going to read a little bit from your bio and then we'll get into a conversation. Okay. So Irakli is a vocal advocate for New Jersey's largest tobacco-free effort, which is part of the New Jersey Prevention Network. Am I right about that, Eric?
Correct. You are.
Awesome. And so you work for the New Jersey Prevention Network, which is dedicated to creating safer, healthier environments for all New Jerseyans to visit, work, and live. He joined NJPN in 2019 as a youth coordinator, supporting advocacy and engagement efforts to combat youth tobacco use. But since then, Eric has become responsible for managing all programs under NJPN's community prevention program, Tobacco Free for a Healthy New Jersey, TFHNJ, just so everybody knows the acronym, where he leads a network of coordinated activities to decrease youth access to and overall use of tobacco products, reduce exposure to secondhand smoke, and to help those who do smoke or vape to stop. So important. With expertise in tobacco prevention and cessation efforts for youth and adults, Eric brings a breadth of knowledge and experience to a program that aims to protect residents from the harmful effects of tobacco. Eric, thank you for the work you're doing. Before we even get into that, I just want to say thank you. And I know many of our listeners will probably say the same thing for those who have quit smoking. And for those who are looking for resources and help, we're going to talk to you about that today. But before we get there, Eric, let's go back a little bit because you're doing such incredible work now. But I'd love to know, so where are you from? Where did you grow up?
So I was born in the Republic of Georgia. It's a small country over by right under Russia. Bordering the Black Sea. My family and I immigrated here when I was 8 years old. We moved straight to New Jersey, and I grew up in New Jersey, local in Monmouth County, and I've lived here since. I went away from New Jersey to attend college for my undergraduate up in Massachusetts at Springfield College, and then for my master's degree, I went to East Stroudsburg University in Pennsylvania. But home called my name still, so I came right back to Jersey and started working in tobacco prevention.
Have you ever been back to the Republic of Georgia?
Yeah, actually, we make it a point to try to go back. I still have family there. I have my grandma, a couple of uncles. So I'm actually going back for the first time since the pandemic hit in August. We're planning on going back.
That's incredible and amazing. And so how was it growing up in Monmouth County?
So it was actually really interesting. I have a very close family. We all grew up together, went through the struggles of life together, especially as an immigrant family. And I didn't speak English when I first came here, so learning that was interesting. But it was very nice. A lot of supportive friends, supportive groups around the county, and people just helping us out. And the school systems really supported my sister and I. We were both enrolled in the English second language program at the time, so that we could learn English a little faster. Definitely different, but very interesting. And I'm happy to have the experience that I gained from growing up in Monmouth County.
I always love, and I wish that I had the ability to speak multiple languages. My father came from Italy, so he came here and he spoke Italian, and his mom spoke 8 languages. And I think it's just so incredible. But it's interesting to come in at 8, right? And not. Did you learn a lot from? I know a lot of people learn a lot from TV, even more. Yeah.
Yeah,
That,
we watched a lot of cartoons and to be honest, like Dora and like SpongeBob and
yeah.
those, and I would pick up like the language and the words. And at first it was a little confusing because I still didn't understand what they were saying, but I would understand like words that they would say. And then once I got into school and being at that age of 8, your brain is like a sponge. It just soaks up all information. So we picked it up rather quickly.
Mhm.
And now I've been in the United States for 20 years. I barely even have an accent anymore. But sometimes it comes out when I'm reading out loud or something. I'll have an accent.
Listen, I only come from Brooklyn, and that I do everything I can to because people know immediately, and I speak fast. So some things I try to lose, but I can't lose it all. So it's good we hold on to our roots. It's a good thing.
Definitely,
So
definitely.
what did you want to be when you grew up?
So, it's interesting. I've always had my eyes on like health and helping people, even at a younger age. I remember when I did a book report when I was in 8th grade that I wanted to be a cardiologist because of heart health. And that was stemmed because one of my grandfathers unfortunately passed away from a heart attack. So it kind of like started this caring and like this affectionate side of me where I'm like, I could be a cardiologist and help people. And then once I grew older and got into high school, I got into sports and healthy living, and tobacco and sports do not mix. It's very hard to be a smoker and be successful in athletics, and it's really not recommended. So as I got into college, I wrestled at college as well, and I really developed this like almost obsession with healthy living. Going to the gym, healthy eating, everything. And at the time at school, I was in a program for physical therapy, but I had a professor that was very interested in public health, and that was an advocate for public health. And I kind of like drew my attention towards it there.
No, that's wonderful. And at such a young age, I mean, and that's the thing. It sounds like you had somebody in your family. There's unfortunately something traumatic that happens. You lose a
Mhm.
family member that to something, and then it actually makes you want to make a difference and help in some way. Sometimes that happens, doesn't always, but
Yeah.
it's interesting to hear what you were doing. So I do have a question, and you talk about the importance of health and healthy eating and exercise. What advice would you have for some of our listeners who may be struggling with staying on that path? Because it sounds like you've stayed on that path for a long time already. You're
Mhm.
still very young, but you stayed on that path for a long time already. How do you do that? What is inside of you that helps you stay connected to it?
So, a lot of people talk about being motivated to, go exercise and things, and motivation is a huge factor, and I agree with it. But I also think it comes down to being more disciplined. And, I always reference Kobe, who on an interview once said, I'm not negotiating with myself. If I tell myself that I'm going to work out on this day, I'm going to get up and work out. Because when the day comes, your brain is saying, oh, why don't we wait an hour? Or why don't we go tomorrow? Whatever. And you're not negotiating this back and forth. You've set a time, a day to do something, and now it's time to achieve your goals. And I think that can transfer into cessation for tobacco, which I know we'll get into as we
Mhm.
talk. But, once you set a date, a quit date for yourself, I know it's difficult, but negotiating with yourself will only delay that success that you're looking for. So that's kind of one of my biggest advice I give people.
Well, now I have to ask a follow-up to that. So, when you say don't negotiate with yourself, how do you stop yourself from doing that, right? Because you're only in the fight internally, and
Mhm.
nobody else knows that you might. I mean, and we'll talk about cessation because that's going to come up in a second. But how do you not say, well, no worries, nobody knows that I made this date, or nobody knows that I said I was going to work out today? What do you do to bring that back to yourself all the time?
So I have, reminders for myself. My screen, my phone background is my family, and that's kind of my motivation as to why I do what I do. Also, it sounds a little cliche to be honest, but I have sticky notes on my mirror every morning I wake up. Remember why you're doing what you're doing. I have my friends that motivate me. So I also really think that this is not something that we do alone. We have our support groups, our friends, our family that are advocating for us to do the best that we can. And, it's okay to tell them, hey, on Monday, I'm going to start working out. And then they can hold you a little bit accountable. Hey, did you go work out on Monday? How was your workout? What'd you do? And I also think, a lot of people have this slight misconception that you have to go all in all at once. And
Mhm.
I don't believe that. I think it's a step-by-step process that takes time. I know with, like I said, with cessation, it's not something that just happens overnight. It's a battle. It's an internal battle with addiction because of the nicotine that's in tobacco products and e-cigarettes. And it's a step-by-step thing. You start slow. You start with maybe removing one cigarette a day at first, just so that you can slowly build up that mental game of being able to say, okay, now I'm ready to take 2 cigarettes away from my day, then 3, then 4. And next thing you know, you're down to even 1 a day. And even that 1 is something that you're like, I don't really need this anymore, but you've already built up that tolerance and mental strength to be able to do that.
No, absolutely. And that makes a lot of sense. And that let's talk about now, tobacco free for a healthy New Jersey, and talk about the work you're doing in the programs, because I know you're funded by certain sources, and
Mhm.
you go out as another organization. So let's talk a little bit about how that is all put together.
Sure. So Tobacco Free for Health New Jersey is a program of the New Jersey Department of Health, Office of Tobacco Control and Prevention. I myself am employed at the New Jersey Prevention Network, which is a public health agency working to create healthier communities by reducing the substance misuse, addiction, and other chronic disease. And I'm the tobacco program supervisor at the New Jersey Prevention Network. So we are grant funded through the New Jersey Department of Health to maintain these tobacco-free for health New Jersey programs, to promote healthy living, to reduce smoking, to reduce access to tobacco products for youth, and to advocate for youth to speak up for themselves and educate their peers on the dangers of e-cigarettes and tobacco products.
Incredible program. I used to work for the American Lung Association and the American Heart Association. So for both of the associations, it was very important for people to understand the effects of smoking. So let's get into a couple of statistics and things like that too, and talk a little bit about how during this pandemic that we've been through over the last 2 years, have you seen percentage of smokers go up, sustain, or go down?
Mhm. So one statistic that I will share is that according to the state revenue data between 2020 and 2021, the Treasury collected $42.1 million more in tobacco tax revenue than it had predicted. So now we can't necessarily say if that's due to the increase of usage, but it is pointing that way. Unfortunately, with the COVID-19 pandemic, data collection and surveys usage has been halted and slowed down a little bit. So there's not a lot of comparisons to be able to make. But if we go off of the reports that we're receiving from people in our communities, we are seeing a rise in smoking and e-cigarette use among youth, especially. I receive emails, calls, they submit in our Tobacco Free NJ website of youth smoking in the bathrooms of their schools now that they're back in person, youth vaping in the hallways, youth hiding in the classrooms to use an e-cigarette. And that is a very alarming thing to hear as someone that is advocating for tobacco prevention and healthier lifestyles.
A lot of people thought, and I know this when I worked at Lung is when vaping really kind of started, and it started to become popular, and then all those lovely flavors to try to get the attention of the kids started to come out too, and all of that. But a lot of people think, oh, no, I'll go from smoking to vaping. That'll be better. What do
Mhm.
you have to tell those people?
So I think the first thing I would like to say is that tobacco companies and the advertisement that they do, they know what they're doing. They spread messages in a different way, and quite honestly, they have the funds to do those messagings. But one thing that they did that people don't realize is they called it a vape, like water vapor, and that's not what it is. It is an aerosol, and it contains heavy metals and dangerous things that if they get into your lungs, they can cause some real damage, such as chromium, nickel, lead in these e-cigarette products, that when you're vaporizing it and you're heating up the liquid and you're breathing it in, it gets into your lungs. And then we saw cases of young adults and teenagers that were having lung failures due to the excessive amount of vaping that they were doing, or the popcorn lung that was coming out, and all of these things.
Yeah. It's absolutely awful. And so do you get to go out and speak a lot in your role? Like, what's a day in the life of someone in your role?
So I can't really paint a picture of every day because it's always different. There's always something going on. Just this past Saturday on June 4th, we held a youth event in I Play America in Freehold, where we brought all of our youth members. They are part of our Incorruptible Us youth group, which is the 13 to 18-year-old high school youth that joined our cause, and we're educating them on the dangers of e-cigarettes and tobacco products. And then they're going out into their schools and holding meetings and tabling at fairs and educating their peers on the dangers of tobacco products. So we brought them all together statewide into one location so they could all meet each other, see that there's like-minded individuals throughout the state. And that was just one day that we did, and it was an awesome day. We had over 130 youth members attend with us. We were all together. We had Department of Health attendees with us to see the great work that we're doing. And that's just one day of what I do. Other days, I'll be sitting reading through policy that's going on in the state. For example, we have the menthol ban coming up that we're promoting healthy lifestyles for. We have the flavored ban that happened in New Jersey, where all flavored e-cigarette products are illegal to sell in New Jersey. So getting awareness on that. We recently had one where any tobacco selling establishment or store must also sell nicotine replacement therapy products for people. So we provided a sign for all 8,000 plus tobacco selling establishments and retailers to have that sign readily available and put it up in their stores.
That's awesome. It's great that you have all of those. And I mean, let's face it, on cigarettes, it's always said the Surgeon General recommends, or whatever, the wording is, and people just don't pay attention to it. Like, I know, I have a mother who still smokes and has been for many years. And we work very hard, my sister and I, to try to educate her. But you see the commercials, right? Some of those commercials, you watch them, they're hard, they're unbelievable. I can't even watch them, but still the addiction is so real, right? And I know you and I, when we were talking about this podcast, correct me if I'm wrong, you said it's about 10 times people. Is it 10 or is it more than 10 that they will try to stop? So
it takes about 7 tries to successfully quit smoking. People will try for more than that. 7 is an average of attempts that it takes. And I think one thing that comes with that is people will try it once, twice, 3 times. And once you fail at something 3 or 4 times, that it goes back to that mental strength of saying, oh, well, I can't do this. But that's not the case. It is very normal for people to kind of have a relapse and have a product here or there. And I'll go back to a moment in my career where I was actually working in Pennsylvania before I moved back to New Jersey while I was in my graduate studies as a tobacco cessation member. And I would hold classes for American Lung Association's Freedom from Smoking course. And there I was meeting at St. Joe's in Scranton, Pennsylvania I held a class with their employees to help them quit, because a lot of them did want to quit. And they were shocked when I told them that, it's going to take about a couple tries. And, if you one and done and you quit on your first try, we're very happy for you and we support you all the way. But for those that need more than once to try it, there's no shame in that. We are here to help. We're here to support. And that's what it takes. And that's what we're going to do. But just a quick story from there. I had a member of the Freedom from Smoking class that was trying to quit because she was trying to have a second baby. And she did not want to be smoking pre-conception and then during her pregnancy. So she came to our class, and I'm happy to report that we were able to help her quit. And she was able to have her second baby. It was a baby boy who's healthy and well. And she's still smoke-free to this day. And that was about 4.5 years ago. So, just there are success stories out there and there are people that quit. And I don't want people to be scared of the idea of quitting because of how challenging it sounds. You are able to do it, and you most certainly have the resources, especially in New Jersey, to do it for free.
And so let's talk about where they can find those resources right now, since you mentioned that, and doing it and able to do it for free. Give us more information on that.
Of course. So there are 11 quit centers that are set up in New Jersey that are managed by different hospital systems in different areas, but they're all free. So anyone that, whether you live in the county, so it's in 11 different counties, whether you live in that county or you're in a neighboring county, you're more than welcome to travel to that location and enroll in the cessation program. And they will provide you with classes to enroll and get help quitting. They will provide you with the nicotine replacement therapy products for free, like the patch, the gum, or the lozenge. The ones that are over the counter medications, they will provide that for free. And then also health insurance does cover prescription needs, as long as you speak to your healthcare provider and your doctor. But if for some reason, you're more inclined to go to these classes, the 11 quit centers are a great way to get help. And those are available on our website at tobaccofreenj.com. And then we also have the quit line set up where you can call in to get help quitting. And even that program will also provide free nicotine replacement therapy. And then for our youth and young adults, 13 to 24 years of age, we have a program set up from the Truth Initiative called This Is Quitting. It's a text to quit program where you don't have to download any app. You just text a number. So it's 88709 is the number. And you text a keyword vapefreenj. And it asks you a couple questions about enrolling, and it'll send motivational quotes and like kind of keep you motivated to quit e-cigarettes and vapes.
So the resources are out there, and if you're more inclined to and you're younger, or you have a child that you found out this is happening and you want to get them help, the text sounds like that's their language, right? And not to say that the other ways aren't, but there's something special just for them too. If that's the relatable part of it, that's great. Whatever it is that you relate to. And we have to say this, that the tobacco organizations have done a great job in marketing, and they've done a great job of finding ways to keep people addicted. And I love, and I'm really going to take this with me after this podcast. I'm not negotiating with myself. That's probably what the name of the podcast is going to be called too, because it's such a great, it's so true that we shouldn't be negotiating with ourselves on our health. That has to come first.
PAM10 is a leader in IT enterprise solutions and staffing. They are driven to transform their clients' business performances. They do this every day by providing their clients with the best services and products like BizLego, an online community platform, and Colear, a unique learning management system. They also transform the lives of women and children through their associated nonprofits, SheTech, which supports women in and joining the technology field, and Softkin, support organization for kids in need. PAM10, technology for social good. Go to pam10.com for more information.
I want to get into something else that not a lot of people talk about too, and that's secondhand smoke, because people don't realize, like, I'm a smoker, but I don't smoke. I'm not a smoker, but I'm just saying I'm a smoker and I don't smoke in my house. So I'm not really around my kids when I smoke, so it doesn't affect them. What do you say to that?
So, I think there's a slight misconception with secondhand smoke and even thirdhand smoke, which I'll also explain that as well, where, if you're smoking and you have someone within a certain amount of radius around you and that smoke hits them, they're breathing it in, and they're breathing those thousands of chemicals that go into a combustible tobacco product, and the chemicals that are in the vapor that you breathe out when you're using an e-cigarette product. That's also part of secondhand smoke as well. And we've seen reports, and I'm not a medical doctor, so I can't really provide all of the information on that, but we have heard reports of people saying, I had a downstairs neighbor, for example, that smoked, and the smoke came into my apartment, and I was exposed to it and I'm having health issues. Or like for myself, for example, I have all my uncles smoke. My father also smokes. I'm helping them, trying to quit. It's one of my biggest goals in life that I'm trying to help them quit. But every time we hang out, like just yesterday, I was at my uncle's house, and he lit up a cigarette in front of me, and I'm like, hey, if you're going to smoke, I request that you either step to the side or I'm going to go inside, because I don't want to be exposed to that, because I know it's bad for my health. And then when it goes into third-hand smoke, people don't realize that if you step outside and you smoke, and then you come back inside and you're wearing a shirt or a jacket that you wore while you were smoking, that absorbs the chemicals in it. And then when you come in, that's why people smell like cigarettes. You could smell a smoker from a mile away almost, because you can see that. And then when they come in and you start breathing in this air, those chemicals are getting released. And if you like give them a hug goodbye, now you're breathing those chemicals in again. Or if you have, children in a house and you sit on a couch with your clothes and they sit next to you, now they're breathing these chemicals in and they're being exposed to tobacco through third-hand smoke, which is also very dangerous.
Yeah. And not to mention, like I said, I worked for the Lung Association. Between asthma, lung cancer, and all the other different types of things that you can get from smoking, it's real. It happens. And I know there's a lot of this thought process of, it's not going to happen to me. I've been smoking for so long, it can't happen to me. That is not true. And I don't know if you have anything else to add on that, Eric.
So I think, when it comes to cessation, which is what we always advocate for with everything that we do, it's important to note that, once the day you quit, the day you stop smoking, the human body is phenomenal and it will start building back to be healthier. And people will notice changes within a day or two of even the way they're breathing. For example, we used to do the measurements for this CO2 in the systems when people would smoke. And, within a day or two of the quit date, people would come back and they would breathe into this. It was almost like a breathalyzer, but just to measure your oxygen levels. And they would be improved exponentially because they took a day off from smoking and now your lungs are already better. And, that happens with everything in your system. Your blood flow gets better, you're breathing better, your heart is healthier over time. So, I think it's important to note that if you smoked, let's say for 20 or 30 years, and you decide to quit now, it's still good for you to quit and your body will still be able to build back.
No, I'm so glad you mentioned that because it is so important. It is incredible what the human body can do. But it's also, if you don't quit, it is also unfortunate of what the human body can do because we're human and things happen to us. So that's really important. So I wanted to ask you, what are some of the biggest challenges for you in your role?
So it's a great question. As of right now, I think our biggest challenge is the flavored products that are on the market still. New Jersey has a phenomenal law regarding the ban and prohibition of flavored products and the sale of it for e-cigarettes. So as of right now, as of April 2020, it has been illegal to sell flavored e-cigarette products, whether it be a Juul, a Vuse, the e-liquids, everything. But unfortunately, we are getting reports throughout the state that tobacco retailers are still selling these products. And I don't want to point fingers or put blame on these retailers because there is a difference between the federal law and the New Jersey law. So it does create some confusion. So the way we're tackling this is by getting more information out to our retailers. So we recently completed a mailing to all retailers, tobacco retailers in New Jersey, explaining the difference between the federal law and the New Jersey law, and how while on a federal level, some of these disposable flavored products are legal to sell in New Jersey specific, it is not legal to sell. So that's just one way we're tackling that challenge. And then we're also creating an audit tool for our community members and our public health workers and everyone in the state to be able to go into a tobacco retailer with no pressure or anything like that, just to take a look and report to us that, this establishment does have flavored products on their shelves. So then what we'll do is we'll go out and bring educational materials to them to say, hey, you might not be aware of this, but this is actually legal to sell and you could receive a fine. And then you could also, at the end of the day, be suspended for your retail license. So it's better for them to get these products off the shelves. So we're working on that right now. This audit tool is in the final review stage, and then we'll push it out to the state for people to be able to get us that information. Because I think information is our biggest tool and educating our retailers properly. And I definitely think that by doing that, we can reduce the youth access to these flavored products.
Are you finding that retailers are pushing against this?
So I don't have a necessary report of retailers pushing against it. At first, when the flavor ban was in process, there was people that were speaking out against it because, people have small businesses and selling tobacco products is part of their business, right? So but we're not trying to necessarily 100% stop them from selling, even though in a perfect tobacco-free, healthy world, there would be no tobacco products. We just want them to be mindful that, youth access and youth usage is a huge problem, and they can help us curb that issue by not selling to youth, not selling the products that are appealing to youth.
No, yeah, that would be something that we hope that will continue to happen. And what message do you have, if you have anything to share on this, is as a parent, for a parent that finds out that their child is smoking, what would you say is the first line of defense for them? Do you have any suggestions?
Sure. So for parents, one thing that I would say is, know your target and your audience. So like for your youth, for example, if you have a child that is smoking, I would approach it in a communication talk way, not in an angry, way where you're yelling at them or shouting at them, because we know that doesn't work, right? You want to tell them that you're there for them and you want to support them and explain the dangers and provide the resources that we have on our tobaccofreenj.com website for parents to use, so that and American Lung Association actually has great one-pagers on how parents can approach the youth to talk about e-cigarette usage. And then within that same line, always provide resources for them to get help to quit. So for example, the Text to Quit program, This Is Quitting, a great resource for parents to tell their youth about, hey, you just text it, it's very simple. Just text it in there, text them. They'll give you those quotes. They'll give you ways to quit, replacing your addicting habits with healthier habits and finding a natural high, as they say, and kind of those things. But, it's not easy for parents. We understand that it's not, especially when these new products are marketed directly to the youth. But I do think that parents play a key role in educating their children on the dangers of these products.
They do. And I think as a parent myself, if something, and it didn't happen with my kids, but if something ever came up like that, your first thing you think about is you're angry and you're upset and you're disappointed and all of those kinds of things. But it's taking that step back for a moment. And e-cigarettes, and I know from my kids not being too long ago in high school, a lot of that stuff is going on in the bathrooms and places, and it's very unfortunate. And it's also, I don't think social media is helping at all, because they think it's a lot of fun to use social media to share that they're doing these things. And I think it's making it worse.
Yeah, so we've noticed that social media aspect. So we've actually utilized social media for our benefits. So we recently did a advertisement campaign for This Is Quitting, targeted towards 13 to 24-year-olds. So that, on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, we have different ads placed for them, and it will pop up for them, and they can see that there is this resource for them to get the help that they need. And one great thing about that for me was that one of our Southern regional coordinators for the Incorruptible Us Youth Initiative, they were tabling at a park for a health fair, and some youth members approached him and said, "Hey, we saw your advertisement on TikTok." And I was very happy with that. I mean, it was planned and it worked. So we're like, great, that's awesome that these youth are actually seeing it and they're remembering it. You could always scroll through an ad and not even remember it, but we took a lot of time designing these and putting them out there, and the youth are remembering it, which is huge for us, because now, even though they might not be vaping, if they have a friend that is, they can tell them, "Hey, I saw this ad on TikTok for This Is Quitting. Maybe you should try it out. Maybe it'll help you."
Absolutely. This continuous subliminal messaging of any sort that's attractive really matters and makes a difference. So what's next for you? You're on this journey it's fabulous what you've decided to do from a young age to help people, to make a difference. What is your grand plan as you grow within your role?
Right. So actually right now I am still at school. I'm pursuing my doctorate in health sciences with healthcare management and administration. Overall, and this will be way down the road, but overall, I would like to actually have my own nonprofit and continue being able to help people. I do have a passion for tobacco prevention and substance misuse prevention. Growing up, I did have family members that struggled with addiction, not just tobacco products. So that's always been in the back of my mind. And, I have a great support system through my family that is with me step by step to help. So we are looking to help everyone. And then I'm also looking to give back to where I'm from in Georgia. So eventually, my sister and I want to set up some kind of a program where we can help people there as well, because public health is almost non-existent there at the moment. Their smoking rates are through the roof. I think almost every male adult smokes or has tried a tobacco product at least once in their life. So definitely want to give back. So just working on building for the future as much as I can.
No, you have some really phenomenal plans. Those sound totally incredible. And so would you say that is that the footprint that you're creating now that you want to leave behind in the future? Or do you have more that you want to add to what you just said with that question?
So for now, I think that would be my footprint. As the years go by, I might develop more things and more goals and more ambitions, which I'm hoping that I will. But for now, I think right now my main focus is, of course, developing a tobacco-free New Jersey and being advocating for healthy lifestyles and being able to really promote these cessation tools for people to get the help that they are looking for to quit.
Is there anything else you'd like our listeners to know in regards to the work that you're doing, your organization, or any, we'll have you list your website again at the end, but is there anything else that you think would be valuable for them to know?
So, one big takeaway from this is that Tobacco Free for Health in New Jersey is here to help. We have multiple initiatives that we run. We have the Working Well initiative, where we help businesses adopt smoke-free policies, and then we also advocate for the employees to enroll in cessation help. So if they're looking for that, we have housing initiative where we help housing authorities and apartment complexes go smoke-free, and we provide signage for them as well. If you are a youth member in New Jersey and you're interested in getting involved, feel free to reach out. We have our Incorruptible Us program that is 13 to 18-year-old youth members that are enrolled in it. Recently, we had a huge development with our college initiative called NJ Quits. Rutgers University announced that they're going to be smoke-free in 23, and they are part of our New Jersey colleges program that we do. So we're really excited to have that. And also within our point of sale work that we do to educate retailers, if you're a healthcare worker or community health worker or anyone in public health, or even someone that's just interested in advocating for tobacco prevention, we have all of the data and information and one-pagers that you can use to give to a local retailer that you think would benefit from getting education on how to properly read a license, to make sure that they're up to date with the laws that we have in New Jersey and all of the signage that they can need. So we're always here. Feel free to reach out to us. Visit our website, tobaccofreenj.com, for all the information.
And what about, you said you have an Instagram. Do you know what the handle is?
Yeah, it's Tobacco Free NJ on Instagram. So you can follow us there. We have a Facebook as well, Tobacco Free NJ. All of our initiatives have Instagram handles as well. So for our Incorruptible Us program, since it is a statewide program and we have a section in each county, so all 21 counties. If you're looking for a specific account, so for example, I'm in Monmouth County right now. If you're looking for Monmouth County's Incorruptible Us Instagram, you would just write incorruptible.monmouth, and you will see the Monmouth County's Incorruptible Us Instagram page. And the same goes for others, so incorruptible.ocean or .atlantic, and you'll see all of the county pages as well.
Yes, and we'll have all of this up in the show notes as well as on the screen on the YouTube channel. And we want to make sure that those outside, so this podcast has been downloaded in 37 countries and 450 something cities around the world. So if where you are doesn't have a program like this, I would say reach out to the New Jersey staff to get some more information about how you may be able to create that for where you're located, whether it's a volunteer group or something that you can get started if wherever you are, you're very passionate about this issue and you want to make a difference within your community. I don't know do you have any other resources regarding that outside of New Jersey?
Of course. So New Jersey Prevention Network and Tobacco Free Health in New Jersey, we partner with national tobacco prevention efforts. So we partner with Counter Tools, for example. We work with Public Health Law Center, and they're all based outside of New Jersey. Truth Initiative is not based in New Jersey either. So we are more than happy to refer people to the correct resources. And we do have an abundance of information, and we're fortunate to have that. So if you are someone that's not in New Jersey and you are looking for help, or you are interested in any of the things that we do, feel free to reach out. We've had instances where teachers from Pennsylvania reached out regarding our Don't Get Vaped In presentation, which is an educational curriculum for schools to learn about the dangers of vaping. And we've let them attend our sessions just so they can learn about the dangers of vaping, because this is not a New Jersey specific issue. It is nationwide and it is globally an issue. So we are more than happy to help.
That's great. I'm so glad we mentioned that because that's really important because, we have listeners from outside of the state. So we want to make sure that they feel supported too. So, and the other thing I'm just going to mention, last thing, is that getting into the schools, so important. Get started early on education. Irakli, right? Did I say it right?
Yep, you did.
All right. I so appreciate you being a guest today and sharing this information. It's just so vital to humans in general that we all need to do better and work on ourselves. And in certain ways, nobody's perfect, but we can this piece of smoking, vaping, e-cigarettes, all that, we make the choice. So we can make healthier choices. So thank you so much for sharing that information.
Of course, Jody, thank you for having me on. I truly appreciate the opportunity. I'm always happy to promote a healthier lifestyle and smoke-free living. So if anyone has any questions for me, they're more than welcome to email me. My email will be eric@njpn.org, and I'll make sure I get that information to you so you could put it up on the screen at the end. But again, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And we'll ask you to come back when you have some more updates and things like that. If there are programs you want to share, we want to share them through this vehicle too. So, or this media outlet. So please just let me know. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. So I'm going to say what I say at the end of every single episode. Today is the day. You cannot go back to yesterday, and you do not yet own tomorrow. So what step, small or large, are you taking today to get yourself closer to your goal? Have a great week, everyone.